With me now is Mary Fitilchyan. She's an attorney who represents several of the Epstein survivors. Thanks for being with us today, Mary.
Of course, thank you so much for having me.
Earlier today, we saw several of Epstein's survivors gather outside Capitol Hill demanding the release of these files. Why is it so crucial to them and perhaps your clients as well to have these documents released?
Well, because the documents contain the truth, and the truth is very dangerous and very scary to a lot of people. And I think that that's really apparent because of the lengths that this administration has gone to block the release of the files. At this point, this administration, President Trump, the Senate, they all really have two paths in front of them. And one of them is to stand on the side of truth and accountability and justice, something that should have happened years ago, or to defend one of the most prolific sexual predators of our time. So I think the truth is what's in those files, and that's why it's being worked so hard on to block the release of.
This is a convicted sex offender, so we know some of the horrors that he committed. But when you talk about revealing the truth, what do you think will be revealed?
I think the extent of his sexual trafficking empire. He was a very high profile individual. We know that. That comes with ties to other high profile individuals, ties to an immense amount of financial resources and other resources amongst that. So really to understand the depth and the vastness of how he utilized and leveraged his resources in order to illicit and sexually traffic women, and most notably, children as well. And it really helps paint a picture of Jeffrey Epstein's entire empire.
Among the demands of survivors is the immediate release of these documents because President Trump himself has the power to order their release. Why do you think that's not happening if he says he will sign this petition if the Senate approves it?
There's a multitude of reasons. Like I mentioned earlier, it's really the truth. It could be because there's sensitive victim information in there. There's other sensitive information. But I think what's most clear is that what we're seeing right now is the groundwork for, even if the files are released, there's going to be heavy redactions. And we see that in Trump's directive to have Pam Bondi investigate the Democrats that are in the files. So whatever reasons the president personally has to not release them, I can't speculate on that, but we do know that there is a very large effort from this administration and from the president to get personally involved to protect the information in the files, and ultimately that's protecting a convicted sex offender.
I just want to loop back on a point you just made there, Mary, that you believe that if the files are released, they will be heavily redacted. I've heard conflicting views on whether or not that may take place. What do you know about that?
They could be heavily redacted. Again, like I mentioned, there's already some directive from the president to the DOJ to investigate people in the files, and the DOJ is able to redact portions of the files if there is an ongoing investigation. So that leads me to believe that there will be heavy redactions in any file releases. We've already also seen redactions in file releases that have occurred. And, ultimately, that's just a disservice to the victims because these files should be fully released so that there's full transparency instead of this piecemeal release of emails, files, to kind of give a narrative that whoever's releasing the files wants to give.
Mary Fitilchyan, thank you for your time today. You're a lawyer representing several of Epstein's former victims.